Business Brain, episode 648 for Wednesday, May 14th, Root Canal Appreciation Day, 2025. Hey, if you're a dentist doing root canals, man, you appreciate every one of them. Ka-ching. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Business Brain, the show where we take a few ideas, we crunch them, we dissect them, we use them to tune our business brains so that we can each keep on living those charmed lives and share our tips with each other. Our sponsors for this episode include a new one, NordLayer.com/brain, where you can use code BRAIN. It gets you an extra 10% off, and actually NordLayer.com/brain gets you 22% off. It's network security for modern businesses. Yep. And our friends at Shopify, Shopify.com/businessbrain gets you the place where you can go sign up for your $1 per month trial period. So definitely, we'll talk more about those in depth in a little bit. For now, here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And in Lafayette, California, I'm Shannon Jean. How are you, man?
I'm good. It's, it's crazy. It's what we do. Yep.
So ultra productivity. Right.
Ultra productivity. Yeah. There's a tipping point that that I tend to skate on the edge of. Sometimes
Controlled
on
chaos.
one edge, sometimes on the other. Yes, it's not always productive, but yep.
Yeah. I find that I operate better when it's the closer I get to the edge.
Yes.
But then I often tip over and
That's
go,
the problem.
oh, everything just went to hell, and I have to kind of back
Correct.
off. And I'm getting ready to go out of town for a couple of weeks too.
That's when it gets haywire. Yep.
Yeah. I had luckily I had somebody reschedule a podcast interview that I was doing, that they had me on. I'm like, oh, great. Okay, great. I just got an hour back. So that's
yes.
wonderful.
Anytime somebody cancels an appointment with me, I mean, most times there are some appointments that I really want to take. Right. Yeah. But otherwise, like when somebody cancels even last minute and they're like, I'm sorry. It's like, you just gave me 30 minutes or an hour back. Yeah, that's free. That's found time. I'm like, good luck getting me back on your calendar, mind you. But
yes. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Hey, I want to talk about education today though.
I have things to say.
Yes. I thought you might. My thing was, my mind was blown. I had a really interesting call with just a colleague that I met, and he's in the trade school business, right? He owned a trade school, and he wound up selling that trade school, a while back, and now he helps others start trade schools. And I was like, man, it's really interesting because I do believe we're in the middle of a big shift in the 4-year degree type thing, right? And the value that presents and the ROI. So I was curious because I just had this standard vision. Oh, okay, yeah, you start a trade school and you make money by getting, your people come or students and this, and you train them to X or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, plumbers, whatever, electricians, all that stuff, super valuable, can be very profitable, and can be the gateway to owning your own business, right?
Yeah.
Whatever, trade type business. But this guy told me something that really blew my mind. He said, oh, actually, my main customer that I'm helping is a company that's having a hard time finding people to work for them. Oh. So they start a trade school to teach these people their trade, what they're in. And it's very broad. It's everything from the traditional trade school type things like I just mentioned to there's a dog grooming trade school.
Sure. Okay.
Right? And all these other things. You could pick the topic, right?
These are all trades. Yes,
they're
of
all
course.
trades.
Yeah.
And so then what happens is this guy that I talked to, he helps them set it up, and there's often like statewide grants for retraining and things, so they can get access because people are like, yeah, I need some retraining. I got laid off or whatever.
Yeah.
So he helps get them plugged into the system to see what these their students would qualify for. And then the business owner who's setting up this trade school, well, he recruits from the top candidates. And I thought, man, that is just genius.
Talk about, creating your own, I'll call it an unfair competitive advantage. Yeah. I mean, it's, unfair doesn't mean against the law, right? Like, no. I want to make sure I'm clear about that.
But you want an unfair advantage.
You want every business. If you can't articulate what your unfair competitive advantage is, go spend some time, maybe even with ChatGPT, trying to figure it out. Because once you know what it is, then you can embrace it and leverage it in ways that actually benefit your business. Like that's the whole point.
It's a huge thing.
But this really becomes that because they have now these students in theory could leave that trade school and go and work for somebody else. And I'm sure many of them do.
I'm sure many of them do. Yes.
Yeah. But if you've got access to these students during the process, you can say, okay, wait a minute, like that one would be great to work here. This would be a good fit. And then you learn, and you have that data and you can approach them sooner. Like,
it's such a great hack. We're always talking about different ways to do things. And I was like, oh man, he just mentioned that one in a quick sentence, like it was no big deal. I was like,
I love those things. Slow down, buddy.
Yeah, it was really smart. And I love the trade school concept because I think there is so much to learn outside of just sitting in the classroom. And I know even just from my kids going through the recruiting process out of college and everything, like when my son started getting, he's like, I need to get a sales job, Dad. I just want to go through the grinder, right? And figure it all out. Yeah. The main thing they were interested in talking to him about was a summer he spent going door to door selling solar.
Oh, for sure.
That was it.
I believe it.
Like, wait, okay, this is the whole focus of our interview becomes this new thing. That because of everything that kind of experience teaches you.
Yeah, I know. I think it's great. And I love this concept of your buddy didn't think that this was a big deal at all. It seemed obvious to him. So he created this and he's doing it. And it's awesome. And you only learned about it because he happened to casually mention it in a brief little moment. And these are the things that we all need to pay attention to. We have a segment on my tech show called Quick Tips, which are exactly this, but for like tech stuff. And it's the kind of thing where you see somebody do something on their iPhone and you're like, whoa. How did you do that? Or you do something on your iPhone or on your computer and somebody's like, what, slow down. What was that? And you don't think about it because it's obvious to you. So if you can notice one of these things, either that you do, which is harder, or that someone else does, much easier, like Shannon just did, let us know. Feedback@businessbrain.show, because we would like to share it with all of you. And then that's the whole point of the show, is that we share these things and we all get to keep living our charmed lives. The next thing I want to do is tell you about our two sponsors. Because, well, when we're building our businesses, our to-do lists are long enough without accidentally leaking data to the entire internet being on there, right? And that's where our sponsor NordLayer comes in. This is a toggle-ready network security platform that protects your business without turning our IT setups into like Rubik's Cubes from hell, right? Whether you're a solopreneur scaling a team or an IT pro running remote everything, NordLayer gives us that VPN protection, access control, and threat monitoring in one sleek, ridiculously easy to use platform. You can set it up in minutes. There's no hardware, no wizard robes required or anything. And it all runs on zero trust principles. It works across every major OS, and it helps you stay compliant and secure as you grow. And the best part, you get to control who accesses what, from where, and on which devices. It's like bouncer level security, right? But for your internal data instead of your, Friday night outing, whatever it is, So if you want to keep your team secure and keep living that charmed life without a cybersecurity meltdown, go to nordlayer.com/brain and then use code BRAIN to get up to 22% off plus an extra 10% off of yearly plans. And here's a great part. You can try it risk-free, 14-day money-back guarantee. So go check it out, and our thanks to NordLayer for sponsoring this episode. And now let's talk about starting a business, because you've got the big idea, the caffeine-free ambition, respect, and the dream of waking up to passive income. But then reality hits. You need a storefront, payment system, inventory tracking, emails, marketing, support, shipping. Basically, you need Shopify. I use Shopify to sell merch for one of my other podcasts and merch for one of my other website businesses. And it's super smooth. I like, it makes me wonder if it's secretly run by a team of caffeinated owls in a server farm somewhere, quietly shipping your orders while you sleep. It's really, truly, Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from giants like Mattel to folks like me or anybody just getting started. You get gorgeous plug and play templates, AI that writes your product descriptions, and marketing tools that make it feel like you hired a team of pros without hiring anyone. And let's not forget the purple Shop Pay button, right? That beautiful little thing your customers already know and trust. It's one of the reasons Shopify has the best converting checkout on the planet. Turn your big business idea into ka-ching with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/businessbrain. Go to shopify.com/businessbrain, shopify.com/businessbrain. And our thanks to Shopify for sponsoring this episode. All right, Shannon, you happened to mention the whole idea of an evolution of this perspective of a 4-year degree and all that. You got more to say about that? I have lots to say, but I want to.
Well, I have a lot to say, but as you alluded to the topic before the show, I want to hear. I think there's a big shift in the value of it, and
yeah,
I think as employers and as parents. Ourselves, we need to be aware that there is this big shift going on right now.
There is a big shift going on. Yeah. I was talking to a friend, and they were telling me about, I guess it was one of their kids that has been in the workforce and, doing some things, had finished some college, had not completed a degree, and was having trouble kind of moving up in the workforce because of this degree. Now, because of this lack of a degree. And the frustration was, well, all the skills are there. That, like, the person's literally out there working. The job.
Yes.
They're doing the job. Yeah. And they said, okay, well, I don't have time to take 2 years and go finish a degree. So what are my options? And there are plenty, it turns out, of fully accredited schools, 4-year universities, as it were, 4-year colleges maybe is what they're called, that are built for people just like that. And instead of spending, $80,000 a year times $260,000, don't do public math, and spending so $160,000 and 2 years of your life to get this piece of paper that is only there to be a piece of paper. Like, it's not there for really learning. You spend about 6 months of your life in the evenings and weekends while you're still working your job, and maybe about $10,000 to $12,000 of your money total. And at the end of it, before the end of the year, if you were to start now, you would have your degree. And that will check all the boxes that any employer is looking for, or most employers, I would say.
Sure.
Some might care about where you got your degree from, but the reality is most don't. Most just, for places where it is just a requirement with no foundation to it, or not much of a foundation to it, where it's just like, oh yeah, we don't hire without a degree. It's like, well, okay, but if I painted a picture of the right person, would you take them? Well, maybe, maybe, right? It's like, okay, here's the piece of paper. Now, is this same person qualified? Yes, 100%, absolutely. For those places, that's what this whole thing is built for. And the people in these classes, the majority of them, as I understand it, are people who are about to be ex-military, right? Like they're finishing their careers in the Army or the Marines or whatever, and they're moving on to something else. But they haven't yet completed their degrees and want them for exactly the reasons I just articulated. Sure. And remember, these people, you and me, I think pretty sure we're the ones paying the bill. So it's not even the amount; it's the time.
Yeah, time.
Right?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
time, and so it's them and nurses, the healthcare industry. You've got these people working as nurses, clearly already have all the skills and all the knowledge and all the things that they need, but you can't level up and become a manager nurse or whatever that works out to be without the piece of paper. So you get the piece of paper. Here you go. Yep.
Yeah, I think we're in maybe even further along than the beginnings of a massive shift in this concept. The degree has been a good rubric to test, or you finished this, you got through this, you have this basic knowledge. But for a ton of positions, there's other ways to do it, right?
I also think that, yes, the degree shows you can apply yourself and complete something. And that's good.
It's good, but it shouldn't cost you $300,000.
Correct. But the degree also, the 4-year, the traditional, I left high school, it went immediately into a degree. And I think, I personally think that's always been wrong. I think you should need to go work in your field before you go get a degree in it. But that's just my opinion. But that period of one's life, often people need to, for lack of a better term, people need to find themselves. And the 4-year traditional live away from home college program, I've called that a halfway house.
High school 2.0.
It's high school 2.0. It's a halfway house. You get to see what it's like.
And I had a great time doing it. And I told my kids, you should go do it because you have the opportunity. We did talk a lot about the ROI, especially when my daughter's school was much more expensive than where my son wanted to go, right?
Yeah.
But I was like, you need to build your network while you're there. And the people that you're going to meet, that could be the most valuable thing that you will get. Yes. And so it's analyzing it and discussing it in a different manner than just I'm leaving and I'm, because.
But for the people who don't need to find them, who have already found themselves, let me put it that way. I think it is important for each of us to find ourselves. If you don't need that, or you simply can't afford the 4 years and somewhere between $100,000 and $400,000 to do that, well, then there are other ways that I'm pretty sure Excelsior University is the one that my buddy was telling me about.
I see.
So I'll put a link to that in the show notes. But there are many of these, and actually, my son, speaking of backdooring college degree requirements, he. Similar situation. He finished about 2 years of school at Reed College, and then they wound up not firing.
Yeah, they kind of dismantled the program, right?
Yeah, in a sense, they dismantled the computer science program for lack of for lack of any more detail. But I'm happy to share the detail. It's all very public. As you would imagine, he backdoored his way into a company by getting an internship there.
Oh, yeah.
And then at the end of his internship, or halfway through or something, they were like, what are you doing after this? And he said,
we want you, right?
Nothing. Yeah. Well, they said, we want you. And he said, you can't hire me because I don't have a degree.
Oh.
And it was somebody new to the company that became his boss during his internship. And the guy basically said to him, hold my beer. Like, why in the world wouldn't we hire you? You're already working here. We didn't have to train you.
Smart.
There's no onboarding. Like, this is ridiculous. And we can get you super cheap because you don't have a degree.
That's another thing.
Right. Capitalism wins, but that's fine. Like, okay. And so he now has, he paved that path. And that's another way of, doing this.
Yeah. It's like the Peter Thiel, the Thiel challenge, right? Where it's like, hey, don't go to a 4-year college. I'll give you $100,000 to start a business.
Yeah.
Right. For every kid, no, but for some that are,
for the right people. Yes. Yeah. There's no one size fits all with any of this, including the things that I'm telling you about in this episode. But if it is the right path for you to not do that 4-year time and money investment, there are options.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important thing.
I
never graduated college. I got about 2.5 years in and started businesses, and I found my own path. That's another way.
That's right.
Like, speaking of backdooring the college degree requirements,
I
just created a business so that I don't have that policy here.
Yes, that's good. I just saw an article of these high school juniors that are making $60,000-$70,000 a year because the trades are so desperate for workers that they're getting these kids and getting them to accelerate out of high school to go in and making that kind of money as a 17-year-old or something like that. It's pretty wild, right?
Wow. I'll put a link to that article.
Yeah, welders, electricians, all this kind of stuff. And, I think we're in the midst of a significant shift in education in a good way.
I hope so, Shannon.
I think so. Yeah, I think we should talk about
education industry is very eager to prevent that shift from happening. And there's a lot of money there. So I'm hopeful, but I'm not necessarily optimistic about this change happening to the degree I think it would be good for it.
It's not going to come from within. It's not going to come from within.
No.
They will resist it because, the not to bash, I love teachers are awesome and they should all make more money, right? But the unions that control the academic system are not, just my opinion, is that they don't work in the interest of your kids. They work in the interest of control and they generate and money and politics. And so, I live in California. The teachers unions control the political landscape out here.
Interesting.
And our education system used to be amazing, but now the government system's like 47th or 46th or something like that. And it's too bloated with administration.
Sure.
So, there's a school district near me where only 14 cents out of every dollar goes towards teaching the kids. And it's a known fact. But again, no one's going to blow it up from within.
No, they're not going to change it. No,
they're not going to change
it. Like the things we're talking about, the Excelsior universities of the world, the trade schools,
the AI, it's going to be very different.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yes.
We're going to be talking about it more because there's just a lot of opportunities for entrepreneurs to get into this space, to build things that micro schools or new ways of educating our young people. They're going to need your help.
Yeah. And all those birds chirping out your window, they're going to need somebody to help teach them how to chirp and tune. Oh, it sounded great. It only came through once, but I really liked it. It was like, the sounds of spring. Nice. I like it.
Yeah. That's cool.
Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. Feedback at businessbrain.show. Let us know your thoughts on this and any ideas that you've found out about or that you've had on your own. We want to know it. Feedback at businessbrain.show. Check out our sponsors. And thanks. Keep living that charm life. We'll see you Friday.